Talking to Marc Jansen, Head of People Development at Rabobank. And we're going to talk about the blockchain, the KYC for personnel on the blockchain, which you're developing. But first, you are a unique person yourself. You're an economist, you worked for Booking, and then you worked in America, and you end up in the Rabobank as Head of HR People Development. What kind of strange road brought you there?
Well, I think in that sense, I'm a craftsman related to, let's say, mathematics and economics. And for some reason, I just had some dumb luck to find different companies in different segments that saw something in that skill set and thought they could use it to the best of their ability.
Yeah, you worked for the IPO from Google, right? Where was that?
Yes, I was an M&A analyst in the States that helped with the IPO for Google. So that gave me the opportunity to see what was happening in Silicon Valley already a long time ago.
Yeah, and then you moved
from there.
Yeah, and then you moved to TGI Fridays.
Yeah, worked for TGI Fridays on the international development side. So really helping TGI Fridays spread their international brand across the world.
It's a restaurant where Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta, and we had TGI Fridays on the evening or on Friday night. We always went there. Yeah, so that you helped on the internationalization of that, and then you ended up at Booking.
Then I ended up at Booking and started looking at okay, if Booking is going to grow with their people footprint as big as it needed to be, so from 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 to the point when I left 18,000 employees in 7 years,
and managers
and so really focused. Yeah. And so really focused on, okay, how do you help the organization from a people development standpoint to help people grow? And now now a year and a half at the Rabobank.
I'm including a presentation in the notes where you basically present for Booking, to go from at that point from 3 to 10,000 and what your thinking was of development. Now, okay, let's talk about the Rabobank. You're basically helping to develop people development at the Rabobank. What is the big idea which you're trying to accomplish there?
Yeah, so the big idea that we're working on is really talent mobility. So
talent mobility.
How do you get people? If you talk about talent management, what's it about? It's about getting the right people in the right seat at exactly the right time. And with that idea, and I think that links very well to my background in economics. Ultimately, you're talking about how do you create a frictionless labor market. And, companies focus on optimizing that internally first. And we're certainly busy with that at Rabobank. How do we make that talent market as frictionless as possible within the organization? But the reality is also because of what's happening in the marketplace, because of changes in customer expectations when it comes to service delivery, the reality is, it's not strange to anybody to see.
And lots of outstream. Well,
exactly.
If I would say that your project is a digital certified CV, certified on the blockchain, that the CV is really certified, and that you really can see what skills does somebody have, what talents does he have, and it's certified by this employer or that employer, and all kinds of different things. And I own that identity as a person. Right.
That's exactly what it is. How do we know that what's on your LinkedIn profile is the truth? Well, we survive it by the people and places where you're doing that work.
Yeah.
But it's much more around what's my title. It doesn't matter that I'm head of people development. What's much more important for the Rabobank is that I have an analytical mindset, that I've got this experience and these skill sets that I'm able to use every day. So how can we put a kind of a certificate on that, which is then easily transferable when I'm looking to take a next step in the market.
And I can take that information, because normally if you have it in your HR systems, after a couple of years you have to delete everything about me, right?
Yep.
And
so
I can take those certificates with me, and if I get to another employer, I can use them, and I can say, hey, you can look at it, and when I'm gone, then you can stop looking at my CV.
That's it, and it also goes a step further to, within the financial world, within the Netherlands, you need certificates to be able to give financial advice to consumers. Well, how do we take the certificates and the education that you've built up at your time at one of the banks? It's called VFT. How do you take that with you so that you're also ensuring that customers at your new place of work are being taken care of because you have those certificates? So it's really, how do you in a nutshell, how do you reduce for a bank the screening time right now of 10 days for a new employee? How do you reduce that through digitization down to 2 days so you can get people to work much quicker?
Yeah, but the whole concept, that is maybe extremely practical for you to in the financial industry, certain WTF and what was that other high-end certificate?
Echelon 2.
Echelon 2,
yeah.
that you can prove that you have that and that other people can accept it. But in general, this could be much bigger. I mean, is the process really only limited to the Rabobank and maybe ING and ABN?
No,
or is it something which can be much broader?
It can certainly be much broader because the reality is I think companies are starting to look a lot more like each other in the future. People are looking for a lot more of the same skill sets moving towards the future. So I think my ideal situation is, rather than everyone, sorry LinkedIn and Microsoft, but my ideal situation is, rather than having a LinkedIn profile, everyone has an employee wallet with all your credentials that make you as an employee interesting to the labor market.
Okay, and so it's not a Rabo project. Who are some other players that you're working with?
Yeah, so we have a alliance that we've set up. We're working with NCOE, who is the largest professional educator in the Netherlands, as well as with Randstad, the largest supplier of temporary work in the Netherlands. We're working together with them. A couple other partners who I'll share with during the conference.
Yeah.
We're also looking at some technology firms who have and maintain some of the largest core HR systems worldwide with Fortune 500 companies to start seeing, can't we start already doing plugins to their systems to make this even more frictionless?
Okay, I have 1,000 more questions because, I mean, of course I want to know what ING is going to do in ABN AMRO and how you're going to expand it to outside of financial, who's going to own it, and which blockchain you're using and what the state is of the thing. But I mean, this is a big idea, and it's nice that Rabobank, who has a tradition of starting something and sharing, this is an edge thing. This is not primary competition. Last year, you were there with WeTrade, which is basically letter of credit, new style, new way, very core, bunch of banks. Now you're working on something on the edge, which I think is really even more interesting than your primary systems, because it's something which is not there. So there's potential for improvement.